Hey everyone, welcome back to Channel Couch Co-op.
Ooh.
It has begun!
Mortal Kombat!
So this is our I don't want to say review, but our thoughts on Mortal Kombat, the new HBO Max movie.
Well, it technically is just
yeah.
But yeah, it's
release in coincidence. So basically, this is kind of our thoughts video. We've done a couple of videos in terms of our impressions on pop culture type of entertainment, and so we being mostly video games and pop culture. Figured we'd give it a little stab, and some of our fans like our opinions sometimes, so we'll give it to you.
Yeah, it's coming at you.
Mortal Kombat, of course, is a video game that came out in the '90s with what are they, like 11 iterations, if not more.
Yeah.
Or
well, the fighting game there's 11. Of course, they have like
puzzle games and all that other stuff.
Well, they had the Spec Ops, which was with Jax, and then they had Sub-Zero's mythologies, and then they did Shaolin Monks, which was like, I don't know, almost like a beat 'em up, sort of, a 2-player beat 'em up, which I think we should play one day. Sure. It's pretty good, actually. It basically tells the tale of, like, I think the first 3 games.
Okay.
And you play Kung Lao and Liu Kang only, and you just go through the entire game, meeting all the characters and seeing how they develop and things like that. It's really good.
Yeah. So we have a fighters video slated, so at some point we'll talk in more in depth about Mortal Kombat games. In terms of theatrical releases, they came out with 2 in the mid '90s, where Mortal Kombat 1 was probably when we were kids. The movie was amazing. I think the soundtrack is what sold it for most of us. And then the second
badass.
And secondarily, the second movie, which was, I think, Annihilation, Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Which was terrible.
Which
it has begun!
I think it's something that most movies and franchises run into when there is a large pool of characters but a very small amount of time to flesh out an actual storyline and things of that sort. And it's also Hollywood, so you can't really do as much in terms of complete strict storyline.
Sure. I mean, I think the thing that they tried to do in the second one, though, it was just a mess, and it became really campy.
Right.
And like a lot of it just kind of became like a big CGI fest, I remember, and things like that. And of course, at the time, CGI was terrible.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it definitely has an
terrible now looking back, but as us being kids, we thought it was pretty cool.
No, I don't know. Well, what was it?
Mataro?
Yeah, Mataro. There was he looked ridiculous, and then I don't know. It was just like, it was really weird because I thought Goro looked good. Sorry, there's something like humming in the background over here.
As you were saying, in terms of CGI, Mataro.
I mean, it was all over the place. I didn't think they really did a lot of the characters justice. And like you said, when you have so many characters, it's hard to kind of plug them all in there. But I think what they did with a lot of the characters was just kind of cheap. Because it was like Baraka. They were mostly like cloaked when they came in, and they were swinging like cavemen, or not cavemen, Tarzan. Yeah. And it was just kind of like, it's like, because as a kid, I loved Baraka just because he just looked so menacing, and he had the Venom thing going on, and so that was, of course, it struck me as a kid. I was like,
Oddly enough, I think in the video game Mortal Kombat 2, to create the teeth, it was just cardboard with tinfoil on top.
Yep. So it's like it was Kano, the guy who played Kano. He basically was just like the overlay and everything else like that, and you could see a lot of the same semblance in it because he's bald.
So in terms of anything like Mortal Kombat 1 movie was entertaining, probably not the greatest movie ever. No. 2 was not even close to entertaining, and not even any type of fan service either.
No.
They crammed a bunch of characters, but this really didn't make any sense. To what I distinctly remember, Motaro looks Hispanic.
Yeah.
I
think he was a Hispanic
actor. Which is not
actually.
a knock on not the actor. It's just like I think his characteristics came through really hard.
Prominently, just because it was just like, because Motaro in the game, he looks
centaur.
He doesn't look human, at all. And this Montaro definitely looked human.
Yeah. So now we fast forward to 2021, where
Oh, well, let's go back.
Sorry.
I'll touch on my thoughts with the original. It was good. The thing that was most disappointing to me was obviously I was the big Ninja fan, loved Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and I didn't think the first film really did them really good justice.
It was cool scenes, but the way that they died was just all right, cool.
Well, the thing I really didn't like was because I kind of knew the lore that Scorpion and Sub-Zero hated each other, and the fact that they were teammates, I was kind of what? It's okay.
Well, that was in front of the camera. Behind the camera, they're beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just there was that, and then Scorpion's spear was an animal that lived in his arm.
Yeah,
it was weird. But anyway. So.
And Reptile.
Oh yeah, Reptile. Oh man, the CG on Reptile too. Woo.
He looked like a piranha plant that went completely crazy.
Yeah, and then they put a bunch of wild colors into him too, and you're just whoa, okay. But
it's like Yoshi from Super Mario.
Yeah,
that's a different video.
Well, he looked more like Raptor from frickin' Jurassic Park or something. And that didn't even predated Jurassic Park too.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so we'll get into the new one.
So fast forward to 2021, comic book movies have been killing it, pop culture and things of that sort. Video game movies have been okay. Some have been good, some have been bad. And I think, with nostalgia kind of hitting its mark right now, it was a great time for this to be released.
Yeah. Well, and Mortal Kombat, I think, has kind of had a little bit of a resurgence in the last 5 years, I'd say, for sure.
I mean, it's definitely one of the... I don't want to say top whatever in terms of fighting games, or not fighting games, but competitive fighters. But you've always had a fan base playing those games. You have your Street Fighter fans, you have your Mortal Kombat fans. You have Marvel vs. Capcom. You got all the other ones that I'm not mentioning. I'm not trying to insult your franchise, but fighters have always had a place. Yeah,
King of Fighters is a big one, obviously too.
SNK and Dead or Alive or whatever. But either way, so with that said, to what I've read before even watching it was it promised to be a better storyline, an actual kind of a storyline, more brutal with it actually being above I think PG-13, which the first two movies were.
Yeah.
So it
is brutal. I mean, that's the one thing they did nail, and it is definitely more brutal. A lot of the choreography in this is just top notch. I mean, they actually had real kung fu or martial artists, just a general, and it really showed because the hits felt real, and it actually looked like solid fighting. It's particularly between Sub-Zero's character, who is Joe Talsim, I think is how you say it. He was fantastic in it. He's menacing. He's a big asshole in the movie. Right. He's just he's a powerhouse. And the thing that's neat is it really develops him with Scorpion in the beginning, of course, which everybody's kind of seen.
Right.
And that was really well done, I think.
So, I mean, in terms of the plot, and this is good and bad. So the plot is basically there's this particular person. What's his name?
Cole.
And his storyline. So it starts out in feudal Japan and kind of gives you the backstory of Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, which is great because like you said, the first one you anticipated them to be fighting, and then they start fighting from the get-go.
Yeah. You essentially get the origin story for Scorpion in the first 10 minutes.
And then you get Cole, who you have no idea who it is. To our relative knowledge, he's never been in any of the video games.
He has
and he's just a
he was created specifically for the movie, and it was funny because I had a thought of who he was going to be at the beginning. I was I bet you he's somebody or related to somebody or something, and it does come out later. We'll get into it later in spoilers.
So what we'll basically say, this will be the condensed non-spoiler version where it's following Cole and weird things start happening. And you clearly see now that there are two sides, and those sides will eventually fight. along with training and learning who they are. And that's there. So at this point, if you want to watch the movie and not have everything spoiled for you,
well, let's give our thoughts on it before we get to the.
Sure.
Like, I mean, like for me, the movie was good. It was put together decently well. I think it was a little bit of a run of the mill with Cole.
Right.
And to be very honest, I know we kind of talked about it. I just feel like Cole was, they could have chose a character from the franchise and just kind of superimposed him into Cole's position, because I don't know. I mean, one could debate, like, in my opinion, it's like you could have put Johnny Cage into it. I know you have, because Cole in the movie has a family,
right,
and so that's what kind of forces him into it, because his family is threatened,
right,
and so basically. It's like, yeah, you could have.
Spoiler: Johnny Cage is not in this movie.
Yeah, it's all over the internet now. People were pissed about it, but anyway, I don't know. I just kind of felt like Cole was, because they definitely do the first film in this one. It's all Shang Tsung and him trying to finally make the Earthrealm lose so he could really take it over, and they follow that. But they put a lot of elements from definitely the second game into it, and maybe some here's and there's of the third, but
and even extended. But that's for later.
They put things in there where you're like, that's but Easter eggs. It's a fan movie for sure. So it's good. Am I gonna say it's fantastic? One of the best video game movies to come out, and I think it's up there.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm trying to think of a good video game movie, but I keep on thinking of like comic book movies or something.
Thinking like Blade. No, that's comic book.
But it's good. It's very brutal. The fighting is very good. There's some brutality in it. There is some finishers and callbacks to that. Kano is great in the movie. I think he's funny. But I kind of think to myself, it's like, what they did with Kano, it's like, I felt like they kind of made him into Johnny Cage, sort of, with all of his quips and everything. And I get it, like, in the game, he's kind of like that.
Right.
But I felt like it was more Johnny Cage that was like that.
Sure.
And so it's like he's almost like the placement. I don't know. They rearranged a lot in it. And it was kind of like, we'll talk about it in the spoiler section. But in my opinion, is it worth it? Yeah, absolutely. Watch it.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. The choreography is great. And the fighting's great. There's a lot of fan service and stuff like that in it. Easter eggs, things like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you on almost all those relative points. It's a good movie. It's entertaining. It's, in my opinion now, if not the best Mortal Kombat movie, and I think the nostalgia is pushing number one higher or in the same level as this one. There's definitely points that aren't, was it a timeline efficient or correct, or which bothered me as a purist. But like any comic book movie, you're not going to have everything follow the line of said origin story.
Yeah.
Is it worth a watch? Yes. Is it good? Yes. Did I like it? Yes. Am I excited to possibly see more? Yes. But there's some minor issues that I'll get into in the spoiler section. So definitely for people who like Mortal Kombat, who love fighting movies and just some relative entertainment, this is a good flick to sit down to and check out.
Yeah.
But
it's good.
We're gonna take a quick pause. We're gonna fade to black. So
we could just go into spoilers and just throw it up there. So from now on, it'll be spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything that happens in the movie, stop it right here. Go watch it. It's good. Come back to this, whatever, and see what you think. But with our opinions. But yeah. Anyway,
here's your warning.
Here's your warning.
Look out! Spoilers ahead.
Ooh.
So yeah, this is the portion where we're going to talk in depth about this particular movie. I'm just going to rattle off a couple good points, and then you can bounce back ideas, and feel free to stop me just because I tend to talk too much anyways. Like we said before, good movie, entertaining by all means. My number one point is gore. There's actually gore in this movie. You have some blood in the first couple Mortal Kombats, but it does not go to the ferocity of this particular one, where you actually see, I don't know, like 4 or 5 fatalities at least. You got what is it?
Yeah. Well, first you get Hanzo Hasashi, or Hitachi. I know it's not Hitachi. That's a company.
I just know it as Hanzo. But yeah.
Hasashi. I think it's Hasachi. I think. Hanzo
Hasashi. Stumble over yourself.
Yeah, it's something. Obviously, I'll put it right below me. Be like,
duh.
This jackass. But yeah, so that's good. The first introduction, it's very good. The beginning's very good. It starts off very well.
Yeah.
And then, it basically sets up Scorpion's origin story with Sub-Zero.
All this could have been prevented if that wife only needed 2 buckets of water. I'm just saying.
That's right. And then on top of it, what was it? Sub-Zero, what's kind of cool is, you meet a young Sub-Zero at the beginning. And he clearly doesn't have mastery over ice yet.
Yeah.
Because his moves, you could only really freeze around his hands.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Which is neat because they developed that later on. It takes place in what was it, 15 something? In the beginning,
like that. There's a date.
Yeah. So it's feudal Japan, but so clearly, Bihan Sub-Zero eventually must have gained some kind
mastery.
of mastery over ice, and then became immortal or something. It was somewhat immortal, or doesn't age. And
ice rejuvenates you or holds your whatever.
Exactly.
Preserves. It's also interesting in the fact that Bihan, even though he speaks multiple languages, he starts off speaking Chinese, and then that Scorpion's character, Hanzo, speaks only Japanese, which is interesting because the fact is that, there's always been a Chinese-Japanese, back and forth where, there's been multiple invasions on either side and fighting in between those particular cultures. I have no beef on any of that. But, it's an interesting, unique twist that isn't flushed out as clearly in the video game, of course, and this backstory helps it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, it's been laid with many years.
Right.
What has it been, 30-some years now?
Yeah.
Basically, it's been laid, and they just kind of fleshed it out. It did it justice, I think. It's good. But then after that, we fast forward to present day. We get introduced to Cole.
Yeah.
And I don't hate his character or anything.
He does well. The actor does well portraying the character. The storyline is conveyed properly, and basically you find out that this is a long lost descendant of Scorpion because in this initial introduction, Sub-Zero Bihan kills his Scorpion's wife and son, everyone in his clan, and Scorpion at the end. Scorpion dissolves mysteriously into fire.
Yeah. And
what you see is before that, the wife and the son hiding the daughter under some wood plant panels, where then Sub-Zero doesn't realize that she's there because she, for once, even though she's crying for the first 3.5 minutes, decides to be mute.
Yeah, shut up.
And then Raiden comes down and saves her, and then
which we find out later.
Yeah. But and Cole is a generational descendant of Scorpion.
Yeah.
Which which is interesting. I've seen many movies create random characters that don't belong and fail at the attempt of matriculating it into the lore. It's not great.
My only qualm with it is in the game, in the actual video game series, there is a descendant of Scorpion, and he's eventually raised. I want to say it's either Raiden or the good Sub-Zero eventually, and he's taught the art of Hanzo's ninja skills essentially, and he becomes essentially a ninja, and his weapon is that chain whip thing that has blades on both sides.
Okay.
So that's his weapon in the game. So it kind of has hints of Sub-Zero. I'll throw it up there. I can't remember. Forgive me. He was only really in one game.
Yeah.
But he was good. He's more of a frantic fighter. Sure. I was decent with him in Mortal Kombat 9. But so anyway, I kind of felt like okay, why didn't they just go with that character instead of creating a whole brand new dude?
Yeah.
It's okay. the thing that they introduce into this is Arcana, which is essentially their magic. What gives them their special moves.
Which makes sense because, like, if you eventually, in a world of just humans, try to explain why people have magic powers without explaining them to be a magician or a wizard, excuse me, or things of that sort, it made sense.
I think it was good. I have no problems with that. I thought it was a decent play into like explaining super abilities and stuff like that, and some of the inhumane things that they were able to do. So it's like, it's good in that level. I liked that they did that. They basically with their training they get pulled. So basically Cole ends up finding Jax ends up finding Cole. And then,
basically, Sub-Zero is made out to be some random assassin. Jax is following people, and you eventually find out that he's following people with this special marking or tattoo.
Yeah, the dragon marking, essentially, which is the Mortal Kombat symbol, essentially.
Yeah.
It's been shown in trailers, so I guess that's not really that spoiler-y.
Yeah.
So, it's good. Because he finds him. Cole's always had the birthmark ever since he was born. Yep. They even in the beginning say, "Oh, it's a birthmark," and so they kind of play on that. Basically, this birthmark says that you're a champion and you can join the Mortal Kombat tournament.
One of the Earth Warriors.
Yeah. And so, and it can actually be passed on. If the person that has the dragon marking gets killed or defeated, the dragon marking goes to the person that defeated them.
Yes.
And so that's how Kano ends up having his, and things like that. So it introduces Cole. Cole then intersects with Jax. Jax kind of gives him like a little backstory after a fight, and tells him basically he's an Earth champion, and he's there to help gather all the people that have this marking because there's going to be an attack on Earth here soon. And he eventually drops the name Sonya Blade, and so address. And so he goes to find Sonya Blade because Jax ends up staying behind because
fight Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero shows up, rains ice down and stuff like that, kills a bunch of people.
So kicks everyone's ass.
Yeah, Sub-Zero in this film is like badass.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing I will say. Like the thing that's very weird to me is they made Sub-Zero so badass, but I kind of feel like Scorpion was just kind of not there at all. Yeah. And that's my biggest complaint with this movie is Scorpion's not really in it. Right. He's just there in the background constantly, and take it for what it is. The fight really Scorpion only shows up in one scene. And it's the final fight.
Scene and then the last
scene. Well, at that point, he's not really Scorpion.
Sure.
And so, but at the final scene, with the final fight between Cole and Sub-Zero, eventually Scorpion appears, and then you get the fight that's been in all the trailers and stuff like that. But that fight's really good. My complaint, I guess, again, I don't want to keep on hating on Cole, but I kind of felt like his Arcana was weird.
It was basically a
suit,
a skin. Basically, you get tough skin, and then these two, I don't know what they're called.
Combi sticks, essentially.
They're combi sticks, but they're pointed and sharp as hell.
One's actually more like a police baton, and then the other one's got kind of like a curl hook on it.
Yeah. So with that said, understandably, you needed to create special moves for this random unique character. You did not want to give him the exact same moves as Scorpion, because then you're just like, what the hell? The thing I didn't like is, unfortunately, because it clearly is a plastic meshy type of material. There's a couple of clips where you can see it folding up off of his body, which it
looks like muscle strands. Yeah. If I could explain it the best way.
I mean, I think the origin is from his Unity bracelet that his daughter gives him. So it's basically a woven stuff.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
So. And that's the thing. I also feel like Cole was kind of pressed in there, and also
he was there.
Yeah, if it was the thing where now that the movie happened, and then Mortal Kombat 11 just says now appearing Cole and drops it as a character in the game. Okay, there's some linkage to it. and maybe there can be some service to it. But Cole at this point is just like, oh, random character you're kind of throwing in there. Like he is like essentially the main character of the movie, and the thing is he's not even a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah. And I think what they did too, and I get it, they kind of wanted to show the parallels between their lives because Sub-Zero threatens his family.
Yeah.
Just like how he did with Hanzo.
Yeah.
Hasashi. That's it.
Okay.
So anyway, but there's that a little bit.
Sure.
Like the big turning point where he finds his Arcana is when Goro appears, and that was a little bit of a gripe on my end because Goro.
Which I think we should save just one more second for that. I want to because we started in talking about the fatalities, so let's just go one by one and talk about the rest of the fatalities, and we'll go back into the gripe on that if that's cool. So we have pretty much for fatalities, like you have Sub-Zero just completely freezing someone to death. Usually he shatters them, but for more dramatic effect, he does that to Hanzo's family. You get a heart pull from Kano. Yeah. You have
reptiles in it.
Yeah, reptiles in it, which also that's a negative that I'll bring up later. But I forgot about. You got Jax's head smash.
Yep. You got it. Well, Sub-Zero freezes Jax's arms and shatters them.
Yeah, that's how his origin story for his arms are, which I don't know. Is that how that is in the comics?
I thought. I don't think it was Sub-Zero.
That was like some mercenaries.
I think he actually gets his arms ripped off.
Right.
I know that. I don't think it was Sub-Zero that did it, though.
Maybe Goro?
Ooh, could be.
We'll find the origin
put it
for that.
There. Yeah.
We have an animality, or what is now an animality with Liu Kang's dragon.
Yeah.
Which I'll get into also.
Because now I can't even think of his name. Cabal, thank you. Cabal's in it, which was a pleasant surprise to me. Actually.
I didn't even know it.
I didn't know.
And when it's something like, oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh cool, all right.
Let's see, was there any other? Oh, there's a soul suck from Shang Tsung.
Yep.
And I think that's it in terms of
Kung Lao does his hat blade.
Yeah, the hat blade, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
He kills Natara.
Yeah.
Which is the winged vampire lady.
Yeah.
And I don't know, her character in this, the translation, I get it, like Natara is a terrible character.
Right.
And they kind of did like maybe the same justice to it.
It seemed like Natara and Shang Tsung were getting it on because of how attached he was with her.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I kind of felt like Molina was his like right hand person. I felt like sort of. Well, like she was always around him. Yeah. Sub-Zero was his major crony.
Yeah.
And one could probably debate he was really his right hand man, but Molina was always by Shang Tsung's side.
So, any other fatalities you can think of? If we missed it, we'll throw it up there. I think.
I mean, you could consider Cole's kill on Goro a fatality, perhaps?
Scorpions.
He does the flamethrower fatality, which was it was okay. I like it was all right. I was kind of hoping he would like do the complete like rip off and his skull would be there. And this one, he starts spouting the flame and then his face disintegrates.
Yeah.
And then you see the lower half of his jaw.
And when we get into fatalities, I'll talk about the two minor knocks on it. But now, since we touched upon that, let's talk about Goro and what you're talking about with Cole and things of that sort.
So like with Goro's introduced, and like the thing, I don't know, like in the first film, I liked how they made Goro more of a character.
Right.
And in this one, Goro's really just in the background.
Yeah, so he basically comes in as a cameo as they're trying to invade Earth.
Yeah. And
basically, Goro is just randomly tasked to fight as much as... Before that, they go into the temple, and Goro just runs amok. You know, the Earth's warriors are just defeated but not killed. And then... You know, Raiden all of a sudden says, let's just pair them off. When them together, it's a bad, but if we separate them, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so Cole gets like the short straw or string or whatever and gets Goro. So you're just like, oh my god, he's going to die. This is going to be amazing. But he finds his Arcana in the midst of this.
I thought Cole was going to die, honestly. Yeah. I thought he was going to be like the sacrificial lamb that like brought everybody together and was like, all right, fuck, we got to get our shit together. But no.
Well, the cool part was his wife going in with the axe on the side of Goro. I thought that was a great scene.
That was cool. I mean, the fight with Goro was all right. The only thing I kind of felt like Goro doesn't talk.
Right.
And he just yells.
Guttural noises.
Yeah. And like the thing that I got a lot of Marvel, MCU, MCU basically Hulk with him, because the way he yells and like there was like super close up on his face when he was screaming and stuff like that, and I was kind of like, it's very hulky. Yeah. And but I felt like they kind of capped that off a little bit too much or caught that. And then I don't know, but the fight was good. The fight was pretty cool.
The fight reminded me of Super Shredder. Because in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, Super Shredder is attacking these pillars because he's angry, not thinking, but Cole is hitting these pillars structurally so the house will fall on top of Goro because he figured, a house will kill Goro, and lo and behold, no, it does not kill Goro.
It's a barn.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's
an outside house.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Because the wife and daughter are in the house. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it was cool, but they made Goro pretty one note, and I don't know. They didn't, in my opinion, besides Sub-Zero, they didn't really flesh any of the evil characters. Yeah,
Shang Tsung was like a half, if anything.
Yeah, and Shang Tsung looked badass. Yeah. I'll give it that. They did okay. The guy that played it, it's like in something.
The guy in Dark Knight.
Yeah, he's the accountant in Dark Knight. It's the actor.
But the thing is I'm going to go knock on Ing, not because of him, the person, but then I'll knock on Goro's stuff, is for Ing, his hair looked put up in such a way it looked fake for me, so it bothered me a little bit. Like, Shang Tsung...
The wig was probably a little bad.
And your first introduction to Shang Tsung was this old, old disheveled man, and that's also kind of like, you're going in 1, but he looks like he's in 2 and 3, what's going on? So I didn't like that. Like, some of the costume parts were rough for me. They tried to do the best they can with fan service, but they also tried to make it functional. But sometimes the functional, when you saw it in HD, didn't come out as well. Like I said, the skin Cole suit, Shang Tsung's wig, hair, etc., and armor, and then Sub-Zero's armor at times bothered me.
Yeah,
like it was just like
it was a little bulky.
Yeah,
because it's like I can't really see a guy fighting well in something like that.
And you could tell at that point it was like a faux foam type of thing.
Yeah.
So it just didn't hold well with me in terms of that. Now, jumping back in terms of Goro, all of the enemies in the henchmen of Shang Tsung and Sub-Zero, and even Sub-Zero to that extent, they all die. And the thing that bothers me is like, are they characters that you absolutely need to have? But if you're following the trajectory of Mortal Kombat's the storyline, yes and no, because, in the attempts of playing Mortal Kombat, you fatality half of them, so they technically should return in number 2. But the thing is like, you killed off Goro, you killed off Sub-Zero, you killed off Kano, who, in my opinion...
Well, Sub-Zero, they clearly are setting up Noob Saibot. I mean, at the end, even when Sub-Zero is at the end, he takes off all of his armor, and then he's only in black.
Yeah.
And it's like, as he's dying, and you're like, oh, that's a definite Noob Saibot nod.
Right.
But the other thing, too, with, like, Kano... Like, he gets a guarded gnome shoved in his eye.
Yeah.
And they clearly said, I don't think he's dead. They clearly, I think, are setting up the cybernetic guy.
Okay. Because my thing is I thought he was dead. And, like, honestly, he's probably one of the best characters in this whole movie.
Yeah. His
quips, yes, it's very Johnny Cage-esque. But because it's Kano, and you're just watching it and you see him develop, it's hilarious. And, like... You think in an action movie about gore and brutality, if you're smart and witty in making this movie, you'll make it entertaining and make people laugh, but constantly when he was on film, I was just laughing hysterically.
Oh, he's hilarious. Like, he doesn't care.
He steals the show almost in some aspects.
I mean, he's definitely the star of the film.
Right.
I mean, he's quips galore. He's just like that background character that constantly saying shit,
right.
And that's the thing that's interesting because that's, we said it earlier. It's like they could have made that because in the original game, Kano was always on Shang Tsung's side because he was actually giving weapons to Shang Tsung. Mm-hmm. He still worked for the Black Dragon.
Right.
And he was their weapons supplier.
And that's some criticism that I saw when people were watching the trailer when it's Liu Kang, Cole, Sonya, and Kano, and they're like, why the hell is Kano with Sonya? Sonya's whole mission, because Kano killed her husband or fiance or whatever in the first one?
I don't know.
Or her partner, at least.
I think, well, it could be a partner, because I don't think Sonya ever really had a major relationship until Cage, right. And then, at least in the game universe.
Right. So, and that's the thing too, like, are any of these characters like, oh my god, they have to be in the next one? Goro would have been nice to get a little more of Goro, because it's Goro. And secondarily, Kano, if he is not dead, then it's not a huge issue, but if he is dead, then it's just kind of like, you know, like, he was really good in this role. I enjoyed him a lot. Like, Mileena, like, you saw her teeth for a second. You don't see her have any interactions with Kitana, who she's actually a clone of Kitana. You actually see Kitana's flame
blade, the fan blade
in the movie. So all the bad guys, and Cabal was actually pretty good. He wasn't like horrible, like, but again with the costuming, it looked kind of like. Eh.
Well, the thing I found very odd with Cabal too is he even says like Cabal in the game, Cabal and Kano hate each other because Kano burned Cabal.
Face.
And then, his whole body.
Okay.
And it charred his lungs so badly, and that's why he has to wear the mask all the time.
Right.
And so basically, Cabal hates Kano, and in the movie they even reference that, and you could tell he has such disdain for him. But then all of a sudden, he's the one that convinces Kano to go to them.
So this is the Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Scorpion in this new version.
Yeah, exactly.
Transcending time.
Yeah, exactly. It was like kept it going. But yeah, I don't know. Cabal was cool. I don't know if I really liked what they did with the mask. It was a little rinky dink, a little bit. Like he was missing one pipe that went into his breathing apparatus and stuff like that. And he kind of had a Predator look to him more than.
It's like if you took like one of those like Darth Vader voice changing masks and then just spray painted and did it up a little bit to make it different.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it was badass. I mean, the superpowers are in full effect. Yeah. Like, you know, Cabal zips around constantly, and every time he swings his blade, he actually has the blue after effect with the swings, which is definitely a game call out. And like Liu Kang shoots fire like no other. Yeah. And then even Kung Lao teleports, which is very cool. I think they did it really. His teleportation was done really well. Yeah. It looked a lot like the game.
Melina's had teleport as well, but she seemed to spam it in the movie.
Yeah,
as people do probably spam it in the game.
And they did a couple of nods with that, like the leg sweep thing with Kano and the training thing. Yeah. And but yeah, it was good. The fighting again is what it's really all about, I think. Yeah.
And I think even like you're gonna have liberties in terms of storyline, but the at times all overness, because you have the Natara, who's probably in like 7 or 8, Mortal Kombat 7 or 8. You have Kung Lao that makes an appearance in 2, but this particular Kung Lao is not the original descendant who won the tournament so many years. It's the actual cousin, which makes sense. But then you kill him, which he's in 3.
He's in believe it or not, in the series it was Liu Kang that dies.
Yeah,
it wasn't Kung Lao, and Kung Lao is the one that ends up kind of taking up the mantle to become the next champion. Whereas in this one, they kind of flipped it around where Kung Lao is supposed to be the champion because he's the descendant, and then Liu Kang's like the one that's kind of just with him essentially.
So for purists, it's a little frustrating to see kind of like, and like you said, it's hard with 30 years of storyline to condense it into one movie that makes sense. The whole thing is a little more out there that you can't really like resolve as much as like, okay, well, if you really want to go through step by step, line by line of the first tournament, you're dealing with 7.5 characters, 8 characters. You're going to have to make it a tournament, and that's what it is. Whereas the storyline, a little bit of theatrics, it's not as horrible, but it's kind of hard to swallow.
Well, the other thing too is I don't know if it's. I don't think it improved the first film's fighting in the effect of like it didn't feel like a tournament.
Right.
It just felt like, oh, we're gonna fight you kind of a thing. Right. Throw all the guys all at once. And because you did have one-on-one fighting because they eventually do separate and branch off, but then they also do kind of help each other in certain aspects while they're fighting the other villain. But I mean, that's the one thing I think they kind of missed on this one. Again, the choreography is great, but I didn't feel like it was a Mortal Kombat tournament. And there's a lot of call outs like the finish him and stuff like that. I think Shang Tsung says something like test your might, or no, Liu Kang says test your might at one point, which is kind of cool. But I mean, it's good. There's a lot of frustrating things with me for the story. I just kind of like Cole again. I just feel like they could have just thrown him away and put a real Mortal Kombat character in his place and fleshed out more people and stuff like that. Sonya Blade was really good. Jax was really good.
I think the actors that they chose for each character did very, very well.
Yeah.
Minus, I forget his name, the guy with the hammer and the 2 tattoos on his face.
Oh, Reiko.
Yeah, Reiko just seemed like, we need another character to throw him in there.
Yeah, and Reiko's from the infamous 4.
Yeah.
And it's like, Reiko didn't even look like Reiko, because in the game, Reiko's he looks more like a ninja with face tattoos.
Yeah, and when they did zoom up, he did have face.
Yeah, he had like lines running down his face, but Reiko in the game looked more like a heavy metal character, I guess, sort of. And Reiko in this is just he's an Aussie. He's been in other films too. The Protector. He's this gigantic dude. He's like fucking huge. He's like 6'6" or something like that, and he's a bodybuilder.
Okay.
And so he played him, and like all he does in all the movies he plays is he just screams really loudly. He goes He has no lines, and
he reminded me of Ronan the Destroyer. This is a big dude with a hammer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. It's like for that fight. Reiko and Jax fight in the pit, which was kind of cool. They almost did it to a T too, which was really neat. I think it's the pit 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. But the thing that I was like, oh, I thought he was gonna uppercut him and send him into the pit.
Yeah.
But nah, he just head claps him.
And one of the other things I can't, let go is. My favorite character in Mortal Kombat for the first 2 for sure was Johnny Cage.
Yeah,
he makes a quote-unquote cameo in a poster at the end, but he's nowhere to be found in the movie at all, which kind of bothers me.
Yeah, and like I said, I think they could have really done, instead of Cole, they could have used Cage and made him more of like maybe they didn't want to cop the first movie, because really the first movie uses Cage as more of the the segue for the viewers to get into the universe. Yeah. Like Liu Kang was definitely the star, but I felt like they used Cage for more of like the expositions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, they had the newcomer Cole, and that was all of the exposition was through him. So I mean, but I don't know. For me, I think Cole was a missed opportunity with using Cage.
Yeah. Another knock is, I love the actors' selections and some of the portrayals. Liu Kang is stupid ripped in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But his devotion and his line presenting just seems very corny.
Yeah.
Where he's like...
He's not a good actor.
I feel like he is like... he's like someone in a cult almost on how he's trying to present his faith, which no, you need the faith, you need to find your arcana. I get it, but it just seemed like he was a pleb or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you need to do this. Yes,
all is righted.
Yeah. So I mean, he did very well acting. His physique matched that of Liu Kang. He did the bicycle kick, which I think he was more ripped than the original Liu Kang. Yeah, we lost our mind when we saw the bicycle kick or whatever it's called.
Yeah, bicycle kick.
And it was cool, but just some of his presenting of topics and stuff was just a little much. Kung Lao now, even though he was on the same line, but he was more stoic, so his dramatic pauses allowed it to work more, and it wasn't just kind of like blind sheepy following type of thing.
I think Kung Lao was serviced better in this film. The actor that played him too was really good, because Kung Lao and Kano in the movie basically hate each other.
Yeah. It's
that play is pretty good.
Another relative issue for this is just, and this isn't all about complaints. I genuinely enjoyed the movie, but like Reptile looks way better than Reptile in the first Mortal Kombat, but you kill him also, which I was a huge fan of Reptile as well.
Oh yeah,
it's the original first secret
Every
character.
kid then was.
Yeah. So that was a little sad to go.
I mean, they kind of went with the Reptile design of when he was a full-on reptile-looking thing,
like Mortal Kombat 4.
Kind of like iguana look, sort of.
Yeah. So basically, like he looks like the lizard from Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool but I felt like it was basically the exact same fight in the first film.
Yes.
More or less.
Yes. He basically uses his invisibility.
Yeah.
He's causing destruction, and then they find a way to mark him. Kano basically sticks him with a flare and a knife.
Yeah.
So they could follow him. And then I think Sonya throws a blade into Reptile's chest, and that's where Kano goes right through the heart and pulls his heart out, which is cool. But also, to my understanding, Reptile's pretty acidic, so when his hand came through, I half expected his Kano's arm to be like T2, like just a bare resemblance of a hand.
I don't think he has acid blood. He has acid spit.
Sure, okay.
And they do show that in the film.
Yeah.
He definitely uses acid spit in there.
Yeah, that's how Kano breaks through the shackles.
Mm-hmm.
And my last knock, and yet again, I'm a very negative person anyways, but last knock in terms of this particular movie is, yes, they have fatalities / animalities, but one. The way that they kind of finished it off with some of the fatalities didn't settle as well as I'd like them to be. Like Jax's is spot on, Kano's was really great, fantastic as well. So Liu Kang summons a dragon to kill Cabal, where he's sitting in some sort of flammable black material like tar.
Something.
And dragon comes up, and you see it, and it comes
It's a flame dragon.
Yeah. It comes down and eats him, and you figure it's either going to be, torso, but then the flame envelops him and burns him, but he just kind of looks blackish, like charred a little bit, and then he falls over, which, like...
That happens with Sub-Zero, too.
Right, and that's what's my other knock on the fatality, which I'll get to in a second, where for this particular one, you expect it either, like, top torso gone.
Yeah.
You expect him to be bones. You expect him to be a little more than if you took some black dust and like, he's charred.
I don't know. Maybe it was a call because they want to bring him back later, and they didn't want them to be completely decimated. But
Shang Tsung has soul abilities, so maybe it throws.
Well, the thing to consider though is like Quan Chi brings anybody back from the dead.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if they're completely decimated or whatever. He can take their soul and create their bodies again. So it's like basically they become living dead essentially.
And the last knock on fatalities is just when Scorpion does a flamethrower. I just wanted to see bones.
Yeah.
Now, understandably, you need that body from Noob Saibot, but at some point, I'd like to see the bones because that's kind of clear in Mortal Kombat 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, everything's all about bones then, because it was just like what they could do. It was just blood and bones.
Yeah.
And it's like, even in the fatality, like that's what was so cool then was because like when he did the flamethrower fatality, like, he took his mask off, it was a skull, and you're like, whoa, shit. And then when he would light the person up, and then they would be all bones, and then they fell on their knees like that. And it was cool. And like in this, he's just charred on the outside. And then he collapses.
So, a couple of my knocks on the movie. We're going to make this a compliment sandwich, and that ends on some good notes.
Yeah.
For me, at least, I'm sure Shaf's has some other thoughts and ideas. There were 3 Easter eggs that I saw on my first pass through, but it's weird. For me, whenever I watch any type of material, that first watch, I distinctly remember things way better than if I watched something 2, 3, 4 times until someone points it out. The 3 Easter eggs, 2 of them were in the temple, where one was Katana's fan, and secondarily was the amulet for Chinook, right? Those were 2 because Kano actually tried to steal the amulet. If we go back to it and watch it again, maybe I can be a little more observant. And the third Easter egg that I saw was in the clippings of the Earth Warriors Chosen. There is a picture of Nightwolf.
Yep. They also have,
or a descendant of Nightwolf, because I know there's some.
No, I guess it is like straight up. It is Nightwolf, because I saw online that people are like, no, it's Nightwolf from Mortal Kombat 3.
Okay.
And because he has the same face paint and everything
sure.
in the photo. But then they also reference Kotal Khan.
Okay, yeah.
Because they have the
statue,
bust,
right?
yeah, the bust of it. So they show a lot, and then the Earth Warriors. Remember when you were like, "Oh, is that?" Because they showed the one with the guy with the spiked gauntlets.
Yeah.
And he was standing up. That was supposed to be Kung Lao's descendant.
Oh.
So that was the first Grandmaster.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was Baraka, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy. Because I figured that was their take of the blades. But and again, with more good things about this movie is.
There's an Easter eggs. Like I said, it's very fan servicey.
Yeah.
They do well with that.
The good part is the guy who played Sub-Zero signed on for 3 movies, so essentially there will be at least 2 more. I'm sure this movie is doing pretty well to the reviews. Now, is it like mind-breaking like Inception or like Avengers Endgame or things like that?
God,
no. But is it a great movie? Is it something fun to watch? And I would rewatch. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It soothes the child who loved Mortal Kombat in the mid '90s very well. What other thoughts do you have? I've been talking a lot.
For me, like I'm a big, I like old kung fu movies, martial arts movies, especially the newer ones. I'm a big like Tony Jaa fan. Joe Talcim, like he was in the movie I was telling you earlier, The Raid. And that's a great film. Watch that if you haven't. It's I think it takes place in Thailand.
Right.
But he was fantastic in that film. And then like just the choreography and everything, like I said, fantastic. It's a great kung fu or martial art movie. It does well with it. And the supernatural effects and everything, it does really well. So I mean, for pure spectacle, it's a fantastic film.
Yeah. Any other notes and things?
I mean, they set up a lot, of course, in this movie. They reference the fall of Edenia. Yeah. So it was on one of the murals.
The T. Shao Kahn.
Yep, the T. Shao Kahn. They show which is armor and it looks badass. Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, God damn! Like it's ridiculous. It's kind of like I would almost say kind of like a DC movie universe look with the armor. Yeah. They made his horns super long and huge. He looks kind of demonic almost, which is kind of, I think, a neat nod.
It's Hellboy in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, essentially. But it's a good movie. I'm excited to see what they do with the subsequent ones. The director, this was his first major motion picture. So this dude, I think, did fucking fantastic on a big budget film. And I'm excited to see more.
Yeah. So we do have comments from fans and just people who watch our videos. I honestly want to hear some more conversation on this particular one, just because not only was it our opinion, but it's a long movie and there's a large fan base. So if you get an opportunity to watch this, please comment, throw on theories, throw on thoughts. Let's discuss it in the comments. Just because I think this is a good movie and it definitely has. Opportunities in good and bad to hear what people think. So
I bet you $10 too. They're gonna watch all of the comments with like what people are saying based on what happened in the first film and then tweak it. Because I've been noticing Hollywood's been kind of doing that a lot lately.
Lots of fan service,
yeah. Well, it's just like they listen to the fans and they're like, okay, we're gonna shoehorn this in, and it's like I kind of felt like the Johnny Cage thing at the end was them saying like, yeah, we got it. We didn't put Johnny in it. We're gonna put him in the next one.
We're so sorry. We're so sorry.
We swear to God.
But yeah.
So it's cool. Like I said, it's interesting. I can't wait to see what Noob is like. Because Joe Talcim, like we said, signed on for 3 movies if it's successful.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, we as always appreciate you guys watching. Please like, subscribe, and like I said, comment. We want to talk about it. We're huge Mortal Kombat fans, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Channel Couch Co-op.